I think the easiest way to think about this is that the trade policy we've had for the past year is going to remain the same. The Supreme Court came down and they said that there's one element of the president's tariff program where he couldn't use that particular legal authority. Congress has given several other legal authorities, and so we're just going to use those instead. And you're going to see a lot of continuity. So over the past year, you saw a baseline tariff of 10% on the world, and you saw slightly higher tariffs on other countries who have, who are bad actors on trade. And so the same day the tariffs came down, we put a new 10% baseline in place pursuant to other legal authorities. And over the next 5 months or so, the administration is going to work through other tools to increase the tariffs on, where possible, on countries that have unfair trading practices or things like that.
President Trump said again last night that the other countries would pay for these tariffs. Now, he said that in the past. We know that that hasn't really been the case. Several studies have shown the vast majority of Americans, consumers, and companies have actually paid the price for these tariffs. That has, in fact, generated revenue. What is your message to people who say, we feel that we're paying for that, and we don't like it?
Well, I think those studies are very misleading because they don't measure. Well, first of all, tariffs aren't imposed at the point of sale; they aren't imposed on retail. So when people say that's happening, that's just not true. And a lot of the studies, they're looking at
there are companies that actually send increased tariff price.
Let me finish. So there are payments at the border done by companies for tariffs. And half the time, those companies are actually just the U.S. subsidiaries of a foreign company, or they're intercompany transfers and they have tax arrangements. So what we look at is if you look at the inflation numbers from December, the inflation number for manufactured goods is 1.1%, below the Fed's target. For new cars, 0.4%, way below the Fed's target. Food at home, 2.1%, right around there. Apparel, 1.7%. So Americans, we know, are still feeling pain from inflation from the Biden years, and it's coming down. But a lot of that is in housing, it's in healthcare, it's in education, things that the government has subsidized that really exploded during the Biden years. But when we're seeing the actual hard goods, things we might import, inflation was only 1.4% during the last quarter of 2025. So I think it's important to disaggregate between things where Americans are feeling it because there's still a come down in a lot of these services we produce domestically. But our trade program, it's really about jobs. Wages went up by 4.4%, and it's outstripping inflation. That's what we're focused on: the new jobs, the wage increases, and tariffs bring a lot of that.